Yes. Oh man,
put
I'm
it
having some
on
tech issues.
PowerPoint.
But yeah, no, I bought it. I'd highly recommend it. With that said, it is dense. It is written for somebody that has a PhD or master's at a minimum, I imagine. It is written for academia, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I keep in my toolbox. And whenever I can, I try to recommend it to mental health professionals. I was raised that if you're only going to be honest to 3 people in your entire life, the 3 people that you should be honest with are your doctor, your lawyer, and your therapist.
That's true. Those are the
Um,
people who need to know the absolute truth.
absolutely. And I mean, like, from my perspective, it's not always easy being able to be honest with a therapist, especially if they're not kink aware. I mean,
Especially if they're not kink aware.
if we go back, I think in the 70s when the DSM-4, sadomasochism and a lot of what we do was a clinical diagnosis. So,
and they changed it to say, if you do this and it causes a problem in your life, then you have a problem.
Yep.
But they didn't change a whole lot, just that little bit at the end.
Yeah, but that little bit at the end is what separates a lot of healthy behavior from unhealthy behavior.
That's right. Does it cause a problem in your life? No? Okay, then go forth.
I mean, I think that we've seen many cases where, there's healthy behavior such as going to the gym, which becomes a problem in somebody's life. Right?
And when it becomes a problem, I go, 12 times a day. That's a problem.
I think some of that stems from, at least for me, I can speak from my personal experience. Like when I've gotten lost in that, like kind of a frenzy type of thing, I've spoke about it pretty openly that I have an addictive personality. Actually, when I spoke with Lilith Fox 2 weeks ago, she's a clinical sexologist and an inclusivity consultant. She actually spoke that impulsive or addictive behavior is really prevalent inside of people that are on the spectrum. And there's a lot of people on the spectrum inside of the BDSM community.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm not sure if there are just normal people in the BDSM community. Everybody that I've met is we call it neurospicy.
Exactly. Nonetheless, like I think that because of that, we do have to be mindful that we aren't having negative impacts on our life when we're doing this behavior or actions or scenes or whatever it may be. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I've gotten lost in fantasy where, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm not going to do anything. And I'm just going to, have a house full of all these beautiful, submissive, feminine human beings feeding me grapes and, like a fan and I don't know, whatever other crap you see in the movies.
It doesn't really work that way.
I've had authority over 3 girls at one point and I would never do it again, to be honest.
Were they in the same house?
No, I did. I almost touched on that earlier, and I'm like,
no.
You're on to something because none of them lived with me, to be clear. Actually, nobody's lived with me for almost 11 years, for many reasons, but 2 of them were very long term, and I mean one of them was, well, actually both of them were here weekly. So it was still like the juggling of schedules and then events and then emotions and then all the stuff. And it was like, wait a second, whoever told me having 2 or 3 submissives was cool, they freaking lied to me, because this seems like a lot of work. A lot of work.
It's a lot of work. You are correct.
And it sounds crazy, but at the end of the night, I'm like, oh, I gotta play with all of you. Damn it! I'm so tired. Can I just like take a nap? But so moving on, we keep getting sidetracked, and I do have a couple more questions.
Check to see if Rebecca said, I think it may have dropped again. Is everything good on your end?
So far, it seems to be. I'm not sure why we keep dropping. I'm
just going to let you look at all the little, gears and windows. And
no, everything on my end showing that we're still doing well.
Okay.
So the only thing that I can think of, and I should have known better, but I have what's called OBS Studio, and I decided to update it yesterday, and that's what's dropping us. I've been using the same version of OBS Studio, constantly denying the updates, and then I'm like, well, I'm about 3 or 4 updates behind, so maybe it's time.
Let's do it all.
Nonetheless, hopefully by next week.
Made it better for you.
Yeah. But no, we are good. I can see our feed.
Okay.
I do apologize for the inconvenience for anybody watching. We are having some technical difficulties. Studio keeps disconnecting, reconnecting for some reason, but rest assured, I will submit a bug report after this.
Okay, back to
carrying on. The next question I have, and I try to always bring like some kind of consent question in because it's kind of important to a lot of what we do. But I've asked it 30 times now, right? Or 29 different ways, right? So every time I try to take it a little bit different. And so for you, I have, how has your understanding of consent evolved over the years? And then the second part is, what role does communication play in that?
I actually taught the consent and negotiation class at Bash a couple of weeks ago, and it is much different than when I started. When I started, nobody taught you how to negotiate. They only said, you have to do a negotiation with this person and agree to what you're going to do. And that was it. That was all you got for negotiations. So I developed a framework of, here is a way that you can do negotiations. And when you are done negotiating, everything that's in that little box that you agreed to, that's the only things you get to do, because you both agreed to do things in that box. And the short of it is, you start with an empty box and you put in the things in the empty box that you want to do, and you hand it over to the other person. The other person looks at it, takes out the stuff they don't like, puts in the stuff they do like, and they hand it back to you. And you can look at it, take out their stuff and put in more stuff, and then it goes back and forth until you stop adding things and taking things out. These are the things you get to do because you both agreed and consented to doing those things. Preferably a, hell yeah, I want to do these things because these are awesome. And I don't like the, well, yeah, maybe, the weenie answers. So, those soft maybe yeses, I count as still no. Mm-hmm. So everything in that box is a hell yes, I want to do these things with you. That's my what I teach. And you put in there, like, I have a medical condition, I have this, and the things that I want to play with you for an hour and a half. There's not going to be any authority exchange other than that 1 hour and a half window. And I give them a list of, here are the things you need to talk about, and put them in the box. Now, you can always take stuff out of the box. You can turn the box over and dump it out and say, we're not playing. But the things in the box are the things you're allowed. And that is what you have consented to. It is what they have consented to. I like that framework because it is definite. It is a structured way of doing it. When I got in back in 2000, long time ago, it was a lot of, well, did they agree to play with you? Yes. Oh, okay. It's kind of like up in the air now. And I'm like, that just, consent was not as big as a concern as it is now. And I'm glad it is now. I'm glad it's a big concern and a big topic. And I'm glad that there are classes on it because I didn't have a class on it when I started. So I made one.
Well, I think like you hit on a really important thing. There's a difference between a yes and a fuck yes. And like circling back to like some of our earlier conversation, I don't know what your experience is, Jareth, but I've come to the conclusion that S-types will do stuff just to please me, even if it hurts them, even if it harms them. And I'm over here just baffled because I'm in like Dommy Dom fantasy land and I'm just like strolling along and,